Guys, it's Marc Zicree, Mr. Sci-Fi, also known as Marc Zicree of Space Command, and today we're talking about one of my favorite authors, H.G. Wells, and we're showing things to come in the background, one of my favorite movies written by Mr. Wells. Basically, people talk about when did modern science fiction start, and some people think it might have been Mary Shelley with Frankenstein, others think it was Jules Verne, but of course for me, in terms of tone and theme and voice, H.G. Wells is really where it all began. He started as a young man writing great novels in the late 19th century, including War of the Worlds, Island of Dr. Moreau, The Invisible Man, and my favorite, The Time Machine, which was the first story about a machine being made to travel through time. And the story, if you haven't read the book, it tells about the Morlocks and the Eloi, two very interesting offshoots of humanity in the distant future. It was made into quite a wonderful film by George Pal, and it was the early stage of Wells's career where he was basically commenting with a very dark vision of humanity, very strongly influenced by Darwin. One of his teachers was T.H. Huxley, the grandfather of Aldous Huxley, who wrote Brave New World, and Huxley was a great devotee of Darwin. So that was the early stage of H.G. Wells's life. But as he became an older, very famous authority in Britain, he was writing novels, he was writing nonfiction works, he was on the radio a lot in the early part of the 20th century. And when he was pushing 70, and around 69 years old, he met Alexander Korda, who was the head of a British film studio, and they struck a deal to do several movies together. And Wells wrote Things to Come. It was based on a novel he had written, and it's an amazing film. Some people think it's rather quaint and strange, and it is, I suppose, those things, but it's also a phenomenal film with great visuals. You can see some of them in the background. It was directed by William Cameron Menzies, who was a phenomenal art director who had done Thief of Baghdad and Gone with the Wind, and he directed two great, in my opinion, science fiction movies. This one, Things to Come, with Raymond Massey, who you see now, and Invaders from Mars, the original version from the 50s. And you can see his stunning use of sets and perspective, and just his compositional sense in terms of lining up shots is just phenomenal. And the look, the 1930s look of science fiction was really established with this film. Wells hated Metropolis, which was done in the 20s, and this was his answer to it. And a lot of the look of science fiction from then on came from this film. The Art Deco look, the big shoulders for science fiction dress. Forrest Ackerman dressed as one of these characters for the first science fiction convention in 1939 in New York, and that began the science fiction masquerades at science fiction conventions, and cosplay comes, I think, directly from this. And but Wells also published in 1935, this movie came out in 1936, Wells published the entire screenplay, which has many, many scenes that are not in the book, so I urge you to hunt down on eBay or Amazon the book and read what Wells had to say about this and the many scenes that are not in this film. This right now I'm screening the British version of the film, which includes intercards, which lay out dialogue that's not in the final version. Ernest Thesiger, who played Dr. Pretorius in Bride of Frankenstein, was originally cast as one of the villains in this film, and Wells did not like his rendition of the role of Theotokopoulos, and talked to his friend Cedric Hardwicke and had him recast the role. He felt that Ernest Thesiger was too effete, and Thesiger was uninformed, so he showed up at the premiere thinking, with his friends, and thinking he was in the film, and then only when it was screened saw that he wasn't. But for me, this film predicts the Blitz in World War II. It has an amazing destruction of a town called Everytown that's standing in for London, and it was very influential on me when I was a producer on Sliders. I wrote an episode called World Killer that has the world, a duplicate of Quinn slides the entire population of his Earth to another, unwittingly to another Earth, where the population doubles in an instant, and civilization breaks down. And I have a character called the Boss that's sort of my tip of the hat to Ralph Richardson in this film, where civilization disintegrates and the scientists come in and set things right. So if you ever see World Killer and watch Things to Come, you'll see my little tribute to this film. But again, if you haven't seen this film, look it up. Take a gander at it. I think you'll find a lot to admire and enjoy in it, and you'll see the influences from Sky Captain to some of the design influences, even in Prometheus. Ridley Scott gave Charlize Theron's quarters in on the spaceship very much a deliberate design element of some of the futuristic scenes in this film. So that's it for now. I just wanted to kind of introduce you to this and to H.G. Wells. I strongly urge you to read the Time Machine if you're any kind of science fiction fan. It's a great book. And there's also some wonderful audiobook renditions that you can find on Audible with everyone from Ben Kingsley to Derek Jacobi reading the book in its entirety. It's a short novel, but quite a wonderful book. And that's it for now. Additionally, you can even find H.G. Wells online, where you can hear him and see him in the flesh. He was quite a distinctive character. And although his best writing was when he was young, very lean, wonderful prose style with books like books like The Time Machine and War of the Worlds. Things to Come is his later work, is his late great work. It was shot, as I said, in 1935, and Wells died in 1945, having seen World War II and being very saddened by where the world had gone. It certainly was a dark vision that he was living through, and he had certainly predicted a good deal of it, including the atomic bomb in the world set free. So he was amazingly accurate in some of his predictions. So that's it for now. So again, if you want to talk about H.G. Wells or any of your other favorite science fiction films or novels, please do, and comment, share, like, do all the things you do, and we'll talk again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.